plan. We have a plan in place that we don't want to alter. We don't want to mess with that. And we're in year 3 of this right now, or beginning of year 3, and everything had to be right. I just go back. It had to be the right player, it had to be the right fit, and it had to be the right price. All 3 of those, and that's not an easy thing to do, but that's how we look at it. And so, you know what? We found one.
Woodward Sports Network on a Thursday, November 2nd. Ryan Ermanni, Braylon Edwards, Tom Mazaway out today and tomorrow. He's in Jersey for a family wedding. We hope he's having a great time there. We got Parker, we got JB. I do want to talk a little Lions.
You think he's partying?
Oh, yeah, he's partying, man.
He's got like the gold chain.
Oh, yeah,
he's got
big
the hair
league.
in the chest
oh,
open.
yeah, big league.
He's got the sport coat on.
But that's how he does it. That's how he
Slapping
rolls,
people
man.
around.
That's how he rolls for sure.
Rolex.
No doubt.
Nah, it wouldn't be a Rolex.
For
It'd be like
sure.
an Invictus. Invicta.
Where's my money?
Right.
Where's my money?
Where's my money? Where's my money? Bray, Thursday Night Football tonight. We'll get to that in a minute. But
Okay.
For the Lions, they do have some time off now to sit back, reflect, and look at where they have been in the first half of the season. And now is a time, we talk about this a lot, in the second half of the last 9 games of the year. Health has been such a big part of this team. They have played the hardest part of their schedule. They have gotten to the hardest through the hardest part of their schedule with a 6-2 record, and they've done so with a lot of injuries.
Yeah.
If they can get healthy and stay healthy here in the second half, Bray, there's a lot of great things ahead for this team.
Yeah, and I think that's why you hear Dan Campbell talk about we are where we want to be. You know, we have a plan and we're going to execute. You know, that plan is the draft picks that they drafted, Ryan Ermanni, since 2021, whether it was Penei Sewell or Alex Anzalone. It's 2022 when they took Aiden Hutchinson, they took Herbie Joseph, and they had the draft that they did there. It was 2023 when they had the draft that they did, and we saw one of those players, the first pick, and Jahmyr Gibbs have his coming out party this past Monday night. It's also the players they picked up in the offseason. It's Cam Sutton who got a game ball. It's CJ who gave us some hope that he will be back soon. It's guys like that are going to make this team exactly where they want to be. And you look, like you said, they've gotten through the hardest stretch of their schedule right now. They're 6-2. They lost to the Ravens. They lost to the Seahawks. Both those teams are in contention to be in the NFC Conference Championship and the AFC Conference Championship. So there's nothing to sneeze at. And now they have the part of their schedule where they can just continuously get better and start to steamroll. You hit the nail on the head. It's about getting guys healthy, and I think Dan Campbell has done a pretty good job of that in terms of when to take a player out of the game, when to sit Amon-Ra St. Brown, when to play Amon-Ra St. Brown, when to rush Dave Montgomery back, when not to rush Dave Montgomery back. I think he's done a very good job of that, and I think you're going to start to see this thing really take off. When you get these bye weeks and you get a chance to rest and sit down and chill and breathe, and you actually assess where you are, especially if you're where you want to be, all it does is refuel you from your initial goal during training camp, where you want to be. It refuels you like, oh, man, we talk about it, and now we're here, and now we're right where we want to be. They're going to refuel themselves. They'll stay here. They'll get it going, and they'll come out against the Chargers team who is probably going to be a good test. But the Detroit Lions should be healthy and ready to rock and roll when they go out to SoFi.
And that was kind of the indication that I think Dan Campbell gave to the media that, you know, with this next 2 weeks, they should get a little bit healthier and be ready to go against the Chargers in Los Angeles a week from Sunday. Bray, you look at the rest of the way, just the teams that are at the top with them right now. Philadelphia in the top spot. Detroit is second. And right now, Seattle at 5-2 has the top spot in the NFC West, which gives them the third spot in the NFC playoff picture. Seattle has 6 games to go against winning teams. Philadelphia has 6 games to go against winning teams. Do you know how many games the Lions have remaining against winning teams?
I believe I do.
1.
Yeah.
And that is Week 16 at Dallas. Now, could that change? Could Minnesota creep up there at some point?
Denver?
Denver, I don't anticipate at 3-5. I mean,
Okay.
I don't know. We'll see. That could always fluctuate. But the combined record of the remaining opponents of the Detroit Lions are 29-40. That is about 7 or 8 games worse than the next highest competitor. And everything is just setting up for this second half to be one to remember.
It's definitely gonna be one to remember. It's funny, Ryan. I can't wait to bring back out my my preseason predictions on their wins and losses, Ryan, because I'm still right in line with what I want it to be. But the good thing about it is just watching the Lions. Here's something that people don't think about. Everybody wanted them to make a move. Me, I'm raising my hand. I want the Lions to make a move at the trade deadline. I thought it would be key to get somebody on the defensive line to really help give them that edge, pun intended, in this particular way. But when you look at the Seattle Seahawks, Ryan, and you look at the San Francisco 49ers, they add Frank Clark. They add Leonard Williams. They add Chase Young, talking about the San Francisco 49ers. Ryan, one of the reasons why these teams made these moves, and I don't know if people thought about this, Seattle was trying to worry about San Francisco. San Francisco was trying to worry about Seattle. They're worrying about teams inside their own division. They're like, hey, I want to have the number 1 seed. I don't want to have to give them the home field advantage. That's one thing the Lions don't have to worry about. We're not worried about what Green Bay is doing. We're not worried about what Minnesota is doing. We damn sure aren't worried about what the Chicago Bears are worried about. So I think that's another thing that kind of had me stay paused and like, I got to keep trusting the mad scientist and Brad Holmes, because if you try to add somebody, if you try to add a piece, an expensive piece, or just to blow it up, just to say, hey, we added that piece and this pass rusher will give us this chance. Well, what did you give up for it? What position, what pick did you give? How much money are you going to be tied to? How many years are you going to be tied to? How did this mess up the chi of the locker room, as they say? So looking at it from that point of view, sometimes you can't worry about what the Joneses do, because Seattle was worried about San Fran. San Fran was worried about Seattle. Meanwhile, Detroit Lions, we're watching them and we got them in our scope for the weeks to come.
Will you oblige me just 1 second?
Sure.
So the Lions are right now 6-2.
Sure.
Can I get a little music, JB? Thank you, a little beat. Just a little something to add a little pep in my step right now. There we go. Okay, perfect. You're gorgeous. Perfect. Braylon, Lions have 9 games to go. I'll give you the team.
Yep.
You tell me whether they're going to win or lose. We're going to
do
reset this. Ready? At the Chargers.
They're going to win.
Win. Home against the Bears.
Win.
Home against the Packers.
Win.
At New Orleans.
Win.
At Chicago.
The New Orleans one is going to be a good game. I'm going to give them a win, but that's an asterisk win. That's going to be a damn good game.
Okay.
Chicago, they win.
Home against Denver.
They win.
At Minnesota.
Win.
At Dallas.
Not sure.
I'll give them a loss. Fair?
Oh, fair. That's fair.
And then home against Minnesota.
We're going to bench our players for that.
Or are we? You're going for a number 1 seed potentially.
Win.
That's 14-3.
I like that.
Currently, I have them 13 and
4.
I have 13 and 4. Yeah.
So that's 14-3. That's a big boy number, and that is absolutely number 1 seed material.
Like, that's beyond the big boy number. Like Ryan and Ermanni, like 12 is a big boy number. 13 is a big boy number. When you start to get to 14, when you're talking 3 losses, you're talking 15, stuff like that. That's the type of team where you're like, okay, they're gonna make it. Just are they gonna win or not? Like when you, and I know 15-1 is way different than 14-3, but when you saw the Carolina Panthers go 15-1, you're like, they're gonna make the Super Bowl, but are they gonna win? Those are the type of numbers when you see, like, when you get in that, that's a different type of realm. That's, oh, we got the confidence. Just can we win the Super Bowl?
The only game I'm really worried about besides Dallas is New Orleans. I mean, there's kind of that issue. I mean, I don't know. That might be another game where it might bring us a little bit down to earth, where we lose 3 or 4 games this season.
That's Dan Campbell going back to New Orleans. Aaron Glenn going back to New Orleans. Anzalone going back to New Orleans.
I don't know. I just have
Ben
a weird
Johnson
feeling about
going
that
back to New Orleans.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, that's a pretty good one.
I have an off feeling about it. That's the only thing.
Yeah,
Fair enough.
The only thing that's weird about playing like New Orleans, and this is why they're just a weird team. They have good defensive players. They still got Marshawn Lattimore. He's still an excellent DB. You still got Cam Jordan. He's one of the best defensive ends, the best defensive lineman in the league, and has been for a very long time. You still got Demario Davis. Like, you got players. They're just weird. You got Taysom Hill doing trick stuff and coming in for weird plays, and you think he's gonna run and he throws a pass or a trick play. Derek Carr, you just never know. Is he gonna have an inspired night where he's 383 and you're like, where the hell did that come from? Or is he gonna be the Derek Carr that typically shows up where he's 214, but it's a bad 214? So I agree with you on Parker. That one's going to be, where are we at playing-wise when we get to that game? Will be very
Can
interesting.
you even believe we're having these conversations, by the way, about 14 wins and number 1 seed, 13 wins? If they win 12 games, seriously here for a minute. If the Lions win 12 games, won't you see that as a disappointment? I mean, honestly, with the 9 games they have left, where's their 3 losses? I don't see 3 losses in there. Aren't you disappointed if they lose 3 times in the next 9 weeks? I mean, based on the schedule, this is how these guys and Sheila Hamm and Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell and Chris Spielman and Rod Wood, this is how they have not only changed the culture inside of Allen Park, they have changed it outside of Allen Park to the point where we're sitting here saying 12 wins kind of is a little unsatisfactory at this point in the game.
Like, Ryan, I've been on teams that have been winning teams. When I say winning teams, to the tune of 10-6, and I've been on teams that were 12-4. The difference with the teams that were 10-6, Ryan and Ermanni, is like you go into a game, you're like, yeah, they should win. But if you lose, it's kind of like, well, I mean, it's the NFL, it's any given Sunday, it's blah, blah, blah. And that's how you get to 10-6. But when you start getting to 11 and 12 and 13, the difference is we know we're going to win. You know why we know we're going to win? Usually we're going to have the best coach. Usually we're going to have the best quarterback. Usually we're going to have the best nucleus of a team. And usually we're going to be able to play 4 quarters, not 3, not 2, not a half. We're going to be able to play 4 quarters. And that's who the Detroit Lions are right now. They have a damn good coach. They have a nucleus. They have an identity. How many teams don't even have an identity? You talk about the Buffalo Bills going to the Super Bowl for the last 5 years. Name me, what's their identity?
And they're on the way down.
Exactly. So we have an identity. You have a coach. You have players. You have some young players. And you have veteran players as well. Like, this is how you win 13 games, and this is how you ride that energy into the playoffs and you do some damage.